Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to First Class, Second Place. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we have a great first-class guest that you see to my left right here. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been a hiatus. We haven't been here for a couple of weeks and so on and so forth, but I'm very happy to be back. We are at a shared universe in Homedale, New Jersey, lovely Homedale, New Jersey, and I'm really glad to be back and talking with you guys. And to my left, I have a guy who I have an infinite amount of respect from a podcaster standpoint, a friend standpoint, a movie standpoint. This is one of those friendships where we don't speak to each other on a daily basis. It goes into, spurts. But even when we do connect, it feels like no time is lost. And those are the kind of friendships that I think that you should absolutely cherish. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Aballo is in the building. What is going on, Chris Aballo?
How is it going, Jason Enrique? Happy 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because this is not your first rodeo on First Class, Second Place. So
No.
I've been on your podcast, Cape, which stands for Chris Aballo's Podcast Experiment, one of the coolest names in podcasting as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
And and
not a comic book show, but
no.
go on. That's what everyone assumes.
Really?
Well, which is funny because people also thought the show was based in Cape May.
That makes sense.
And I'm like, maybe you should watch. But anyway,
yeah, exactly. Like and subscribe. And but I've been on your show plenty of times, and I've always appreciated that. Now, here's the funny thing. So we have a lot of mutual friends in the podcast game, and I noticed that you've had some people, and we work with some people that you've done solo episodes on Cape and everything.
Yes.
And you've had me on, but it's always been with a group. And then in the back of my mind, at first, I was thinking, I think he only likes me for a certain thing when it comes to podcasting because we've never done a one-on-one together on a show. But then afterwards, I realized, wait a minute, I haven't had him as a one-on-one on my show either. So I'm being a hypocrite. The first time you were on my show, it was you, me, and somebody that I could just refer to as Jenny from Forrest Gump. And then the second one was with our mutual friend, Ugo, from the Ugo Boy podcast, one of our podcast brethren. And but I've always enjoyed being on your show, and I've always had great conversations, even when the microphones and the cameras are off. And it is absolutely an honor to have you here again for the first time as a solo guest on First Class.
Unencumbered by a third person on both of our shows.
Yeah,
we don't need a third wheel getting in the way, is what he's trying to say.
Exactly. I've been enough of the third wheel in regular life anyway, so we don't need that here.
Well, I was going to call you out for that, but it's your show. Hey, go ahead.
Thank you. I just told on myself. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so now we are at the end of 2025.
We are. So we should say, just so everybody knows, we're recording this during the lost week between Christmas and New Year's. Even though you're seeing it when it's actually 2026. Here we are. So if we both look 10 to 15 pounds heavier than usual, it's because this week everybody loads up on cheese, particularly in New Jersey, because Januaries in Jersey have been bitterly cold lately. So you got to have that extra layer of fat just to keep us warm. Right. It's the 21st century. We all have heating in our homes, but regardless, I'm sticking with that as the reason.
And in typical Jason Enrique fashion, I'm just always late. So anyway, but so you guys are now watching and listening to this in 2026. But for 2025, I actually also want to give a shout out to my dear friend, Marissa Tong, who every year since I started First Class, Second Place, she would always be my guest at the year end, and we would just talk about everything that we had gone through and what we learned about it, trials and tribulations, so on and so forth. And we would
like a year-end recap.
Right, exactly. However, she now moved to San Diego, and she's still doing great things over there. She still has her podcast. I'm going to give her a plug right now. Let's Just Be Real podcast. Make sure you check out Marissa Tong and her amazing show and all the other things that she has business-wise. But
dropped my frozen waffle on the beach, San Diego.
Yeah, a whale's vagina.
Well, that too.
Anchorman, shout out to Anchorman. But no, so she was obviously not available, but I did wish her a happy new year already, and I'm definitely proud of everything that she's been doing in her endeavors, and she's kicking ass over there in San Diego. And it's not easy to, because you formerly lived in California before.
I did,
and
I was dumb enough to do it twice.
And anybody who's actually spent time there and done things there, not just for pleasure, it's not easy. So kudos to her for doing that. But I figured I'd have you on, and I'm glad that you're here. And I just wanted to basically recap a little bit of our own 2025s personally, because I feel honestly, in full disclosure, this has actually been a very, very rough year for me in 2025, not just in my personal life, but just the whole world surrounding us. And it just adds to the negativity and so on and so forth that's been piling on. And you're trying to find just a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. But, another reason why I feel I brought you, it was right to bring you on, is because you are as long as I've known you, you've always been a half glass full kind of guy. And
Yes.
I feel like whenever I speak to you, whether in a funny manner or just in a serious manner, you've always brought something to the table. And I've always been able to really look at the other side of things. And you put things into perspective for me. And I just wanted, I don't know if I ever told you that personally, but that's generally.
No, but you're telling me publicly, so it means more, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, and I just feel like this was just you know how they say say the best for last, or have the cherry on top. This is what Chris Aballo is on First
that's
Class
right.
Segment
So we're
Place on
starting the
last
new year
episode.
with the cherry.
Exactly.
That's what he's saying. In a manner of speaking.
He's a modest guy. He's a modest guy. Anyway, so before we get into my tumultuous 2025 and all the other stuff, how has the year been for you? In layman's terms, for the most part.
How much time we got?
We got some time.
It's all right. It's been, this year was, see, I can't say it's been rocky. It's been more up and down than my last couple of years. I did actually on New Year's Eve, unintentionally, but the second year in a row, I did post kind of my thoughts because I've been reflecting a lot. Part of it is I've been in therapy since 2017, but also just kind of my own way of assessing. Like the last couple of years, I've kept a planner, I've kept the journal. So it's good to kind of have that daily and weekly document of everything. So that way you can better assess, because so many of us, and I've used this analogy many times, but now more than ever, it feels like we're all just on the hamster wheel and we are just running and running and running just to stay afloat. Like almost everybody I know is just trying to keep their heads above water. Like everyone's working harder just trying to maintain like where we're at, not even get ahead. It's just kind of what, it's the situation everybody's in. Like it was the state of things in 2025. So unfortunately, we all get so caught up that we're not always able to take stock of everything that happened. And, but having said that, that also means the wins. It's easy to look at like me personally, the year started off difficult in that, and this is not a play for sympathy or anything like that. I talked about this on my show, but point of fact,
right.
January 7th, my father got in a car crash. He's fine. Car was totaled, but that literally, like the year crash landed. 2025 literally crash landed.
It's a corner phrase.
And you know what? The end of 2025 pretty much ended on with some negative energy as well. And it would be easy to sum up 2025 for me as like, oh, it was negative because of this, or because it's bookended by negativity. And you forget everything that happened in between.
Yeah.
So. All that to say, I've gotten better in taking stock as far as what has happened overall, because it's very easy to kind of generalize when it comes to the year. So having said that, where I started, there have been more ups and downs this year than in recent years. And for me, as I posted on my Instagram, that for me, 2021 and 2022 were about laying a new foundation. Post-pandemic, moved back to Jersey at the end of 2018, but barely got any kind of a foothold until the pandemic came down on all of us. So 2021, 2022, we're laying a new foundation. 2023 and 2024, we're building. 2025 was a year of renovation. There wasn't as much building going on. For me, it was about changing things that have happened, making some adjustments. I ended up moving and certain things like that. So there were changes that had to be made, and they are for the better ultimately, but it doesn't always feel that way in the middle of it, especially,
Right.
in the case of moving, I had 6 weeks to find a new place to live after the place I'd been in for almost 6 years.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a challenge in itself.
I can imagine just that pressure of like, having to leave one space that you've basically got comfortable around and then have to make the adjustment and find something else within a short span of time. I mean, that could be rough for anybody.
Yeah. So, the stress of that was, again, it would be easy to take that as like the overriding, like, oh my God, I had to move this year and I had to find a place and we, as you know, started recording my show, the 2025 run. We did an episode in February.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there were, that was, I think, mid-February we did, or early February.
It was somewhere in February. I just know that, basically, like, I'll cut in a little bit just for this and then I'll get back to you. So, I actually was working a job in January that I started in November of the year previously, and then they fired me basically on the 30th, January 30th. And so when I went on your show and during that whole month of February, I was unemployed. I was, doing little things here to make sure I have a little bit of income. Right. But very luckily, I was very quickly able to land on my feet the following month. But I bring that up because one of the things that I learned about when I lost that job was it was paying me tremendously well, even for those 3 months that I was there. But when they let me go, I felt this sense of relief because I was unhappy.
Yeah.
I was working like 6-day weeks, and it was like 10 to 12 hours each, and it was also in Bayonne. Like, I live in Bergen County, and Bayonne's a little bit of a drive. My bank account was stacking up nicely, but I wasn't really enjoying life. So it's one of those phrases where people say all the time, the grass isn't always green on the other side. Yeah. And that's exactly how I felt. Now, do I miss the income that I was getting at the time? Sure, but I feel like my current situation right now is it's brought me a lot of peace, and it was much needed.
And that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
But and it's also easy to kind of, we all kind of make those deals with ourselves in life where it's like, well, it pays really well, so I'll stick around.
I definitely did a deal with the devil for a minute.
Yeah. Or a lot of people,
the devil lives in Bayonne.
Well, there's your title.
Yeah.
But it's like right now I know a lot of people who are sticking with jobs that they hate just because health insurance has gotten all sorts of out of whack. And that's kind of the deal you need to that people are making with themselves. And I get why, but yeah, if you could snap your fingers and get out of it, and it would be worthwhile. Yeah. But look, and even same thing with me with jobs. Like I did, I worked with a company for a while, and then I was the only one keeping track of my hours. And then I had to, I'm messaging the boss, this paycheck is short, this, 3 paychecks in a row were missing hours. And, I thought I'm the only one keeping track of my schedule at this job, and that was frustrating. So then I ended up leaving there. I got hired elsewhere, and I got the first time I've ever been ghosted by an employer. It was actually bizarre.
Whoa,
that's a whole other story. But I literally worked a day. They were like, "We don't know if we need you tomorrow. Can you come in tomorrow if need be?" And I said, "Yeah, I will plan for it. If you don't need me, let me know. But I will expect to be here tomorrow at whatever time it was." They texted me the next day, "Hey, we're good for tonight. Don't worry about it. We'll reach out to you about next week's schedule."
Yeah.
Never heard from them. Called and texted. Literally never got any kind of response. And I no idea why. No feedback. No. Well, it turns out the one day you worked, you sucked ass. Like there was none of that where I knew even what it was. They literally just never got back to me. Never returned my texts or calls. And I'm like, okay, sure. So like even that was weird.
Sounds like a date I had back in March.
But see, dating, that's normal for employers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Like, how do they not get back? Even if it's like, hey, it didn't work out, or they can just lie to me and just say like, you know what, we overstaffed, we don't need as many people, so unfortunately we're not going to have hours for you. We don't want to keep you hanging. Even something like that, that would have been something. To literally get no response was like, what? And there are little things like that I've kind of never run into, or like the movie. It'd be easy to have all of that define my year. Now, while it was a year of renovation, there were still different pathways that I explored during the year and different things that planned out, or that played out, that were unplanned. And it's kind of interesting the way that goes. With the show, as I started saying before, I did the episode in February and then did 2 more in March. My thought was, all right, we're going to kick off the year in the beginning of April and do however many episodes, take a break, and then do a second half later in the year. And because of everything with moving and all the other stuff that was kind of stacking up, even that didn't come together, And I even said, like, I have 3 shows in the can. I'm going to wait till I have 5 in the can, and then I'll say that the show is definitely coming back.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, get 3 shows done, and then life be lifing, as the kids say. So I didn't even bother. I said, I'm just going to wait until whenever. I don't know when, but I'm just going to wait because there's no expectation, which is one of the things I love about doing this. And I don't think I'm saying anything out of school, but obviously with you kind of figuring out what you were doing with your show going forward, and with us even being here at this studio and doing this one-on-one, which is something we talked about for a while, but with you figuring out many things in 2026, including the direction of first class, second place.
Yeah.
It's the thing I like about that, and I'm not being as eloquent as I could be with this, but because my mind's a flutter with all the things I'm preoccupied by with regard to my show. But The thing that I like about podcasting, aside from the fact that there is no barrier to entry and we can put this out, it's a completely independent project, but it is that there really isn't an expectation. We are at a place where, no, and I look at this, it sounds negative. I mean it as a positive, and I mean it's a positive one directed toward you, where nobody's watching. Nobody's paying attention to us. Yes, we have audiences. It's not being dismissive of them at all, but the world is not watching. So we can do this as frequently or infrequently as we want to. We can do it the way we want to do it. We can play around with the format or how and where we're going to do it. How often, all of those things we can do right now, because that, for the place we're at right now, all of that is within our control. So it's worth taking advantage of it, including the fact that nobody knows we're here in the grand scheme of, show business.
Correct.
Nobody knows who we are. So that's a tremendous opportunity to figure out, okay, let's see what this is going to be. Let's figure out what the next step is going to be. And even just to play around with different things with the show. I mean, it's in the same way, you obviously could have done a show virtually with your friend who's in San Diego, and that would have been something. And I've done that back and forth, and we'll be doing virtual shows. It'll be a hybrid show in 2026 because I realize it's just easier to schedule. My preference is being in the studio and being in the room with everybody. But 2024, 2025, even 2023 proved, this is more difficult. And at the same time, I don't want to slow my progress with the show and end up doing less. As proud as I am of what I have done with it these last 2 years, I still thought I can do more, but that's going to require a little bit of sacrifice is way too strong a word, but it's going to require some flexibility from me as far as how I want to do it, because it'd be great to have everybody participate in that way.
Right.
Now, all of this, I realize I'm carrying on a lot, but that's why he asked me to be here, everybody. He's like, I don't want to talk much. All right, I'm tired.
This is what you get on Cape, on his podcast.
Chris if this is remotely interesting, then subscribe to my show. Link will be in the description.
Yes, it will.
Because I'll put it there. But all of this to say that to look at 2025 as a year of renovation with also some new pathways that I followed through on that were forged. Makes it sound like a video game or something, but why not? So
Metal Gear Solid.
I think, right? We're forging pathways here in 2026. But to even reflect on the previous year and look at it that way, like I understand why it would be regarded in general as like a glass half full kind of perception, but it is also coming from a place of being realistic about it. Because I can look at the difficulties with jobs, like my dad being in a car accident, me having to move suddenly, this end of the year, 2025 ending on kind of a down note. It'd be easy to look at it as just like, 2025 is a bad year, fuck it, fresh start, 2026. But that would be missing a lot of the things that happened along the way that were positive, or things that were still a step forward. Because I've, as somebody who is in particular in the past placed not just a lot of importance, but as my identity was rooted in my creativity and how much I was doing when I was struggling with stress and with anxiety and depression and all of the things life throws at us. I felt horrible about myself because I wasn't creating anything. So it made everything else exponentially worse.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of where I am right now, but I'll let you finish, and then afterwards I go to my point.
But with all of that, it's not necessarily viewing it as like, putting everything, looking at things through rose-colored glasses, to use, a well-worn phrase, but it is doing a fair assessment of the year and saying like, you know what, it was difficult, but some years are like that. Some weeks are like that. I mean, that's just how it is, and it's getting through it. That's part of it. And the biggest thing I've had to accept for myself is that slow progress is still progress. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit of a cliche, and it's one of those kind of like, social media therapy phrases that people throw. It's usually a chick, with a thong, putting something like that in her caption. Because
you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
Why not try to look brainy and hot at the same time? But seriously, slow progress is still progress, and taking a step forward is still moving forward. It's not the leap maybe you were hoping for, but you still need to count it as a win. Because, and look, some weeks, some months, some years are just for getting through. There's really something to be said for just making it through the difficult year, for making it through 2025. That is something, because
I agree with that.
And not to take it to a negative place, but people really struggle with even that, is getting through the day, getting through the night. And, I've been in the depths. I spent a long time living in the darkness, where I, in spite of everything, persisted and made it through. So I'm happy to say that, there are the difficult years and you can make it through, because all of us are stronger in that regard than we think. So while it's frustrating to be able to kind of step back and make a fair assessment, maybe it sounds a little too, airy-fairy and glasses half full and all of that. But realistically, there were wins this year. Not as many as I hoped for, but just because things got in the way, hitting different speed bumps or even potholes at times. It doesn't, those don't offset all of the steps forward that were made along the way.
Right.
So
I guess for me, if I want to put an analogy on how this year has been for me, it was almost like it was one thing after another. Kind of like when you have a car. And then first of all, you have to get a new tire because the treads are all worn out. And you get a new tire. Next thing you know, your check engine light comes on. You get that fixed. Next thing you know, you get another flat tire on the other side. You got to fix that. Next thing you know, a headlight comes out. And then the next time you get into a fender bender. And then afterwards, you have to do that. It's just like one thing after another. And then I was trying to play catch up with everything else. And then I guess maybe I took my eye off the ball of what I should have been doing, or things that I was progressing in and achieving in, and not being able to appreciate those things. And then it sounds very hypocritical of me, because people, ever since I started the show, people have noticed me as a guy that's like very vulnerable and also positive and all this other stuff and everything. And I am to an extent, but I'm also a human being at the end of the day. I'm not going to be this happy-go-lucky Kevin Hart, be happy all the time, positive thinking, because it's easier to be negative kind of guy all the time. I mean, I'm a human. I don't think this. I'm also not trying to promote a brand like that. Not like somebody like Kevin Hart, which
right.
But and there's no shade to Kevin Hart, but I just wanted to use that as an example. But it was just a really, really trying year for me, and I actually had to think about how I wanted to encapsulate it all. And I would say that the key word that I had to deal with very much this year was loss. I was in a relationship in the beginning of the year. It ended in March. I was on the verge of I had lost a job, as I told you, in January. There was some people that I thought were like family that are no longer in my life. Even some family members we've kept our distance from each other because it's just a whole mess that's going on right now with not being able to agree or come to some kind of meeting where everybody can be satisfied. And I won't get into too much details, but I think everybody kind of knows more or less what that's like.
That's what most families are like, if we're honest. So I don't think anyone's going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of pearl clutching going on in your statement.
And then there's also moments where like you're putting on a happy face, but deep down inside you're also kind of you're kind of dying inside. And I'll give you an example. So shout out to my best friend Andre Naranjo. We've been friends ever since we were 6 years old, and we're about to be in our 40s. We're about to be 40 next year, or this year, I should say, since this episode is already in 2026. But he got married, and congratulations to him. And I'm very happy for him, and I was very, very honored that he asked me to be the best man and so on and so forth. I never thought that was ever going to happen. I also thought that I would never be an uncle, which I became an uncle this year. So shout out to my nephew Parker. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a little bit of sadness. Like, all right, now I'm that guy where I'm the guy in the group that is not married, doesn't have kids, and is still renting. I'm not paying any mortgage on it, and I'm still jumping from job to job. And it's almost like it was almost kind of a little bit of a humbling experience, because I feel like there were certain friends or people in my circle that I was going to thrive over because they still had that weird kind of Arrested Development kind of thinking. Like they were going to – I actually joked around and said that one of my friends was going to be that old guy at the bar just hitting out chicks that had no interest in him. And now it's kind of backfiring on me, because now it seems like that might be me, but I'm trying really hard for it not to happen. But I'm being facetious, of course. But it's just that I feel like I've dealt with a lot of loss. And I'm just hoping that going into this next year – whatever I had to deal with with loss, I just had to, I feel like I have to learn how to make adjustments and also try not to repeat the mistakes that got me into the positions where I got into in this past year. And one of those cliches that we always talk about, where we feel like the grass is always greener on the other side. I've been through the muck and I've been through the sewer, and hopefully I'll get to see some grass this side going into 2026. Now, I know it's not going to be perfect, but I'm just hoping that it would just be a little bit more on the upside than what this year had to provide for me. And who knows, maybe this is a blessing in disguise, and I'm going to look back in this 2, 3, 10 years from now and be like, oh yeah, that year was actually a character building year for me.
Well, it's hard to see. Not everything makes sense in the moment. When you look back at the arc of how things played out, a lot more of it makes sense. Because you can see, like, okay, this led to that, which led to that, which led to that, you know. Because look, if everything had gone right during that second stint when I was living in California, then we wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't be in New Jersey. Yeah. We would never have met. And this would not be happening. And what a shame that would be. Because
and we don't have a crystal ball to see what's going to happen in the future either.
Well, so. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this. It was actually when our friend Ugo was on my show for the first time, and we were talking about it. But look, if I knew how difficult it was going to be going through my 30s, and you know, you're gonna find these things that you're looking for. You're gonna find the people who you're hoping to find. You know, who you literally moved to the other side of the country, hoping to find, and things you hope to get started and whatnot. You're going to get all that, but you're not going to get it. When you want it, you're going to have to go through the hardest years of your life. You'll get it on the other side of it. I don't know if I would have made that deal. If you had told me at 30, it's going to be really, really difficult the next couple of years. You're going to get there, but you're going to have to go through literally the worst time of your life so far to get there. I don't know if I would have made that deal. I might have pivoted and been like, all right, going to plumbing school. That's it. I'm going to learn a trade. And forget all this, creative ambition.
Nothing wrong with plumbers, by the way.
No, not at all. But for me, like there was a point, and I think I may have talked about it in the same episode with him, but I thought, maybe it's time for me to just leave all the stuff behind. I thought I was empty, creatively and all that. And that's really difficult to get through. But even with your difficult year, with 2025 for everything it was, it's like you made it through.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is something. And it's very, and look, a lot of people beat themselves up at the end of the year. I should have done this, or I should have done that. And then there are people on the opposite side who are like, fuck 2025, 2026 is going to be my year. You've been saying that since 2012. You're not fooling anybody, okay? You post it every January.
I actually, I believe it or not, I actually did that whole New Year, New Me bullshit back in back in 2015, and I haven't looked back since. So to give myself a little bit of credit here, I feel like in 2015, I said, and this is 10 years ago, holy shit, I can't believe it. But I actually told myself, I'm going to just start fresh, and I'm going to do that New Year, New Me bullshit. And instead of waiting to do it all over again 365 days later, I'm going to keep on building that. So 2015 was like the foundation of it. And ever since then, I've been building up to that and building a skyscraper, so to speak, into making sure that I reach the heights that I would hopefully get to reach. Now, honestly, in 2018 and a little bit in 2019, it almost came crumbling down because of my own self-destruction. And dare I say, I probably wouldn't even be here sitting with you for a much darker reason. But I'm glad that's not the case.
Me too.
And thank you. And I just feel like I don't look at that as crumbles or just, everything falling into place, but it hasn't been completely destructed yet. It's just like everything just halted. And what you were talking about when you had to make the adjustments with your show, that's kind of what I've had to do going forward now because, not to toot my own horn or be cocky or anything, but I've been known to many people, especially my audience, that I have been one of the most consistent podcasters out there in the stratosphere. Right. And all of that pretty much came to a crashing halt for personal reasons that I won't get into here. But when that was kind of like taken away from me and I had to figure out new ways how to pivot and go about it moving forward, I was scared. I was scared because I don't know if I was going to be able to catch the aesthetics and also the confidence and the way because I got into a routine, I got into a specific way and how I got comfortable. And I'll even tell you right now, Chris, this is the first time I'm ever doing my show in the studio before, which is a great studio. I've been here before, but this is the first time we're doing the iteration of my show on here. And there's a little bit of nervousness because there is an adjustment period. I was doing my show at one place for a while, and I got comfortable, and it was kind of like you when you had to move within 6 weeks, right. And then basically had to make the adjustment. But in some weird way, I'm also like really happy right now because this is one of the few things that has really truly made me happy. And like, it doesn't matter if I'm having trouble paying the rent or, you know, struggling with other things going on with like my health or whatever the case may be. This always brings me back to my peace. And I'm so glad that I was able to find something like this to bring me, solace into my life. And dare I even say, make me feel like I actually fucking matter. So.
Yeah. Well, you're not completely starting over because you know how to do your show. So it's not.
It's just an adjustment.
Yeah, exactly. You're tweaking it.
Yeah,
and that's fine because it's not like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I've had those fears too when it comes to, oh, I've been so consistent for so long. I mean, 2020 and 2021. You know, with those 2 years, I started. Well, I should say, relaunched my show. You know, the first day we were in quarantine was March 16th of 2020.
Yeah,
I literally pulled out as like, you know, cartoonish. You know, I pulled the Rubbermaid storage tote out of my closet, blew the dust off the console, plugged in a microphone, and said, I recorded in my closet because I wanted soundproofing.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't have anything set up in the place I was living in for, you know, recording. And I said, I don't know what this is going to be, but I need to do this twice a week just so my brain doesn't eat itself. And who knew that, you know, that was going to bring me to, once again, being literally here with you.
Right.
So that, who knew? But I had the moments before when, with doing the show, I mean, in that case, 2020 and 2021, I did 100 episodes in a row without a break. And I said, I'm going to take a break at the beginning of 2022. And the show didn't end up starting until later in April. Not my intention. I thought it was going to take like maybe the month of January off and then get back to it. But life getting in the way, didn't start until April. And I was worried, oh my God, is it going to be that good? Back 10 years ago, when I was doing the show in Skid Row Studios in downtown LA, and the studio closed, I started doing the show from home. So there was no video component anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And I was now doing the show from home. And I watched my listeners week after week drop off. And it was upsetting, but at the same time, I get it. Oh, now it's a different kind of show. Now it's just another jerk off at home with a microphone talking to nobody. And I understand that because it's like, okay, no, I was watching this show that was a three camera shoot was very unique in 2015.
Yeah.
You know, watching this live stream every Monday night, and now it's just another audio podcast that a guy's recording in his apartment. Big whoop. So, but I get it. You know, at the time it hurt, but I'm like, okay, the show is different, and that caused me to, you know, ultimately put the show on hold in 2016 until 2020, and even saying 2024, I have no plan, and not doing shows. I literally, with doing the holiday show of 2023, I said, you know what, 2024, there are no plans. I'm not going to plan to do the show, but I'm not going to plan to not do the show. I'm going to see how things play out. And it did, you know, did a special in October, did a special in November, banked one in December that didn't come out until April of this year. But, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes.
I love the pivot that you made also because, like, now I feel like I'm at that part right now in the show where I have to make certain adjustments, and I will be making some adjustments, as I'm also some changes that are going to be coming to the show. I'll talk about that in the next episode, which will be episode 200, by the way, so congratulations to me, myself, right there. So I also wanted to get into this because, you know, we were talking about how this is like a little bit of a trying year for me, but I think it was also a trying year for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and some of it is beyond their control. So I kind of want to give you an example of basically where the climate that we pretty much live in today.
Okay.
So I'm on Threads. If anybody wants to follow me on social medias, I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms, and particularly on Threads. So about a week ago, I don't know if you say tweeted or threaded this. I don't know what people say anymore. But
posted.
Okay.
That works for all the platforms.
All right, posted.
I posted this thing on Thread. Sidebar,
yeah.
If you don't mind. Where do you land on Thread? Because you're on all the platforms, as am I. Yeah. Threads, I haven't gone into. It was one of those things. It was like Blue Sky. Everybody signed up for it like 1 week and then immediately abandoned it.
Well, spoiler alert, I feel like Threads is becoming a hotbed of just political nonsense, so who knows if
like every other fucking social media platform? Okay.
Yeah, no, but I think this is just like significantly worse, you know?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and here's an example. I'm going to tell you right now. So, as a tongue-in-cheek joke, and I don't like to lean my hand too much, but I think you people will know where I lean politically a little bit here. I go, before you laugh at children who still believe in Santa Claus, remember there are adults out there who still believe in Donald Trump. Merry Christmas Eve, y'all. And it got 26.5 likes, 419 comments, 3.2K retweets, and then 1,000 follows. And a lot of them thought it was a good joke and so on and so forth. But then, of course, release the hounds. They come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. People say, oh, this is the greatest president ever. This, that, and third. You're just a liberal, a Democrat. And there was even some people that went as far as to call me the F word, which means homosexuality.
The other F word.
Yeah. And also someone went as far as to say, be careful, queer, before you get deported. Going back to where I came from, I am fucker, New Jersey. So
well,
but it's just that's just like I didn't even respond to it. I just let it be, and I'm still getting notifications for it now. Go figure. But here's also what I realized about just social media in general, but this one in particular. I post a lot of positive stuff, whether I find something or I just come off of it with the top of my head, and then afterwards there are some things like tongue-in-cheek jokes like that, or maybe sports things that I share. Anytime I post something that is like affirming or positive or whatever, it'll get a little traffic here and there. But if I decide to do something that is even perceived negative, super viral.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show where this fucking world is for overall, where, negativity attracts. And if I really wanted to be that person that wanted to sell my soul to the devil and make millions of dollars, like another podcaster that's initials is JR, I'm not going to do that though. I would have to really sell my soul to the devil to really be successful and not even worry about paying the rent or the mortgage. But I'm not willing to do that dance. Dude, I'm just sorry. I'm not going to do it.
Listen, I'm very much the same. I dialed back so much of not my social media presence. That was a side effect of me dialing back how much time I was spending on social media, period. Just because I was getting those weekly reports on my phone with how much time you spent on each app. And I was looking at, like Instagram, it ended up, I was spending an average of an hour a day. And I thought, I don't have an hour a day to waste scrolling through, and look, not that I don't want to see what my friends are up to, not that I don't want to let, they're people who I follow because I genuinely enjoy the stuff that they post. So it's not even about that. It's not negative towards anybody. I just thought if I'm giving up an hour a day, then that's more time than I'm willing to give up to an app. Just being a person who, passively digests what's being posted. And there's nothing wrong with posting. There's nothing wrong with, mindlessly scrolling or anything like that. Even just as an escape, even though social media is less and less of an escape, clearly. But
clearly,
I have nothing against it. Just for me, I said, you know what? I'm gonna dial back the amount of time. Like I'm gonna not spend as much time on social media.
Yeah.
And it's funny how much steam that stuff can get. Because I purposely, like my show, I have not veered into politics whatsoever. Consciously. Number one, I'm not a politically motivated person. That's not to say I don't participate. Right. But it's not my public image. And too many people, particularly podcasters, have had their identity, their public identity, and their personality is entirely based around politicians.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I think with my sense of humor and my overall personality, I think I do very well as an outrage entrepreneur. I don't want to do that. I could be one of those people who pick either side and just runs with it, and that's my entire thing. But that seems like a miserable existence. It's not what I want my social media to be about. It's not what I want my show to be about. And listen, I understand the pivot, even aside from politics, how much people will give attention to, I don't even want to say, let's say hot button topics. I'm not even going to say politics.
Okay.
Unfortunately, politics is the common culture in 2025, 2026.
Or Diddy, something like that. Hot button,
Yeah, exactly. But in 2023, 2 different episodes, I was talking about dating with a friend who was going through a divorce, who was about my age, and we were just talking about getting back into dating. All of those clips got, 10,000 plus views on all the platforms.
Yeah.
And then, 2-3 weeks later, I did another show with a friend of mine who is also, like me, has also worked on the gig apps. And we were talking about, we took the controversial stance of you should tip your delivery drivers.
I remember
and
that.
The firestorm of comments.
I do remember that.
15,000 views on everyone, and people fighting in the comments, and the entitlement was like flagrant. And I thought, oh my God. Like, I really didn't think this was a controversial take, that if you're sitting home in your fat ass and someone's delivering you, your fillet of fish, then you could throw them $2. I really did not think that was a controversial stance, but holy shit. Yeah. The comments and the outrage and and I thought, now, number one, I understand why, because dating is a hot button topic on social media. And it's something that gets a lot of attention. So I said, I could see why shows pivot towards that. At the same time, I saw Justin talking about something like tipping people on apps.
Justin?
How that could be, what's that?
Justin?
Justin who?
I thought you said Justin, some guy.
Oh, no, just who, Sorry, you just threw me off.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because now I'm like, what did I say? Like, I'm of two minds. I'm like, what happened? Did I mention something? This has been adjusted on my show.
No, I think I just miss.
I'm not a believer. But with talking about something like tipping, I thought, I can just find all of these things that, they're let's put it this way. There are enough methods that have been shared that people find these topics that have a lot of questions and then create TikToks, Reels, etc. About them for the sake of engagement. And I'm just not interested in that. And same when it comes to, like I've kept the politics and everything, away from.
Right. And it's unfortunate and it's unfortunate because, like, I'll give you an example. So I'm not going to mention her name because I just don't want to feel like I'm throwing her under the bus or anything, which I'm not. But I have a friend of mine who is an actress or an actor, however they want to classify it. And I think they are infinitely talented. And I've got to see some of the projects that they work on. And it's a shame that, she's not a bigger star or somebody that's taken more seriously because she's really that dedicated. However, I think what also is a detriment potentially is this year in particular, they have been more focused on what's going on in the world political-wise than actually focusing on what they need to do art-wise. Because I feel like if they weren't so fixated on what's going on Fox News or CNBC or any of those news media outlets or even TMZ to a matter, then they could actually focus on what they're here on earth to do. Like, you were put on this earth to create, to act, to make some of the best performances that anybody can see, and yet it's being thrown away by basically somebody who's ruling the world that's an internet troll, essentially. And I think that that's a detriment to somebody that they could get lost in the sauce and then they forget how to get out of that rut. Or, if you're gonna stay in that medium, then try to make some kind of parody of it, for lack of a better term, with your art, like try to do something creative wise that's going to be cathartic for you and also enjoyable and also keep you at your creative peak. And I just know too many people, unfortunately, but this one in particular, where they're just fixated on so much things that are going on in the world that has nothing to do with them, that is beyond their control. And I think that they should try to focus, not ignore it and don't turn a blind eye to it or sweep it under the rug, but also try to find the time to do what they were actually supposed to be here on earth doing, and that is making great art. Yeah,
I get that. There was a whole, for a project that didn't come together in 2025, but I was going through with someone who was helping me prep this project, a list of actresses, because we were casting this one part. And so many things I was being sent were Instagram profile, which, you're usually sending it. So nobody has like a website. I mean, people do, but primarily it's, what's on somebody's social media. And a lot of the profiles, when I was skimming them rather, was it's all kind of like modeling photos. Yeah. I'm not saying that is a negative, but it's okay. You posing different outfits from different landmarks and different, things. This was someone who lived in New York City. One in particular where she's, taking photos, it's 3 photos and just slightly different poses in the same place, and I'm thinking, okay, there's not a single post she has where she's acting. And I'm looking at posts she's tagged in, not a single one where she's acted. Like, I want to see what she can do. Like, if we're going to audition, like, I don't want to cast a model. I want to cast an actress. And then there was another one who, again, was sent to me, and most of it was like, I don't want to say inspirational reels, but almost like life coaching reels.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Trying to get, like, drum up business in that way. Yeah. Not like, affirmations or something positive just to put it out there. It seemed like she was going in that way.
But it's fine, but it seems like it was disingenuous in a way.
Well, but there was nothing about acting, and I thought, I want to see what this person can do. Like, why is there not? Why don't they have acting? Why don't they have clips of things they've been in? Why don't they have, not that everyone's going to post their auditions necessarily, but I thought, why aren't there anything of them at a premiere, at a festival for their films, the stuff they've done? I want to see that someone's done something, not because I want somebody who's going to promote the stuff, but that is a piece of it in, modern times. Part of it is you do promote the things you're working on social media. But I thought, I want to see somebody who I can look at it and say, okay, here's somebody who's actually out there doing it. Right. Not just somebody who has, so many followers for something that isn't about what supposedly is their career ambition. That was the thing that kind of threw me. So yeah, I think that happens a lot where people let other things kind of define their social media presence. And a lot of times on both sides, it's politics. Yeah. So many people are, pro or anti whatever it is. And that becomes if you're posting 5-6 times a day and that's all it's about, then that's going to be what you're recognized for. And that's it. Especially if, for every 5 posts about something political or something in the news, you're posting one thing about a project you worked on, if you're, say, an actor or an actress.
Right.
Then guess what the majority of your focus is on? Yeah. Or at least that's how it's going to come off, I think. I mean, that's how I read it. I'm not saying everyone's going to read it that way, but yeah. So,
what would you say, to put a positive note on it, what would you say was the biggest win that you felt in 2025, personally in the life of Chris Aballo?
Well, that goes hand in hand creatively. Mm-hmm. And there will be more about this. Again, if you follow me and if you follow my show, there will be some more stuff coming in 2026 with regard to this. But back in, I believe it was August, this is short, I swear. I'm not gonna be super windy about this one. But just so everybody knows, and said, I could just throw it out there, it'd be a short answer.
You said it,
that's
not me.
Boring. Who wants that? This is how you fill an hour a week, kids. But back in August, my buddy, Corey Pierce, drummer for the band, God Forbid, had said, hey, listen, we're doing some shows on the East Coast next month, and we were thinking about doing some, stuff for our social media and, documenting some things. Would you be interested in doing videography for the band? And I said, sure. Well, through conversations and how all that came about, my friend Chris Madd and I ended up working for the band and filming the show they did in New Jersey. With everything we got, I said, I think we got a documentary here. Social media clips, absolutely. But I think there's a story to be told with all of this, just from the vibe I got from the band and with just doing a little bit of digging so I could prepare, because I was going to ask everybody, the members of the band, questions on camera and whatnot. Yeah. It didn't work out that way because there wasn't really a moment or a space to do that where we could have properly done even just a short interview. So ended up turning in this documentary for this band, God Forbid, 20 Years of Treason, which, maybe the link will be in the description. I don't know. I'm going to say yes if I'm posting this episode for you. Yes. But ended up doing this documentary for them, worked closely with Corey and Doc Coyle, guitarist for the band. Mm-hmm. And when I pitched the idea to them, the final result is exactly what I hoped it would be. And that happens so rarely in anything. Even in a podcast episode, where it's, this is what I hope this thing becomes. And it turned out exactly that way. It was exactly what I hoped for. Thanks to the participation of, the guys in the band, and with, it's a lot of hard work, sitting and going through footage and photos and everything and putting it all together. It came out exactly the way I hoped. So while I didn't get a short film shot, one of mine, I should say, in 2025, the one I was supposed to do that I was casting for earlier.
Correct, yeah.
That did not come together. This kind of fell in my lap, and then using what we had and then pitching this idea, hey man, I think we got a documentary, and it's just for the YouTube channel, and it came out exactly the way I hoped. So have done that as, number one, as a creative for hire, which, I've done that in voiceover and voice acting and things like that, and I've certainly done it for, different levels of acting, but as a filmmaker for hire was very, very gratifying. And I also know it's an exception because you won't always work for people who you respect and who are super collaborative and are open to your ideas, but also for something to turn out as good as you hoped it would be. So that for me was the biggest win for me, and something that I didn't plan for, that just came together over a couple of weeks, that I can say, you know what, I'm proud of that. And yes, I have a directing credit for 2025, which was not something I planned for, but you know what, I'm incredibly proud of.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you
and
very much.
I'm proud of you as well, because I know that even you speaking on it, and I kind of know a little bit about this behind the scenes from what you've said before, but I know that this is something that really meant a lot to you, and it came unexpected, but this was, I think, an impressive and a great accomplishment for you this year. And want to give you flowers for that.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the big one. So what is yours?
So
That's the big one.
So before I tell you the big one, I want to give a little bit of context as to why it became a big one for me.
I gave a couple minutes worth of context for mine, so it's only fair.
Yes.
Please do.
So back in, I would say, like maybe September or October, around that frame. You know how they say that things always happen in threes?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So there was a whole thing. There was a whole thing, an entire week where just three things really impacted me in one week. So the first
negative things, but you're
Yeah.
gonna rattle them off. Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna be
things.
vague.
Yeah,
Okay.
negative. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So first one was I was talking to somebody that I had met, in the dating world, and everything seemed to be going great, and everything was fine. Excuse me. I didn't mean to get choked up. That was just like it just went down the wrong way.
They're not buying it either. People watching.
So
Jason really dug this girl.
yeah, I mean I did. So,
Oh.
but anyway, so everything I thought was going great, and then all of a sudden, they just dropped the bomb where they just said, "Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out between us," and it was very vague, not a lot of context, and so on and so forth. And for me, not only was it disappointing, but it was also kind of like bringing me back to multiple examples that's happened in the past, and I'm like, shit, this is again. I mean, I feel like I'm watching a Tarantino movie because I know how it ends. And then second one was where while I was doing the podcast at a previous location, but I'm no longer at that location, so that was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow because there was some. Not only did I, do the show there efficiently, but there was also some personal stuff that was basically taken away from me, and I kind of had to deal with that, and it was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. And then finally, number three, at the end of the week, I was on the verge of losing my job because my current boss, I won't give him any credit though, basically gave me an ultimatum where like, listen, we're kind of downsizing at this location, so we only really have two options for you. Either we transfer you to a location that's a little bit farther, or we let you go. And I didn't want to lose income, so currently I'm biting the bullet where I have to basically go out of my way to a certain place to make sure that I keep a roof over my head and food on my table.
Right.
And then all of that was just like, it was just one of the worst weeks ever. And then it was just a microcosm of everything that I had to go through this past year dealing with already loss. But then finally, the big win for me was, and this is also a little bit of a shameless plug, but aside from First Class, Second Place, I'm also doing a second podcast. It's a sports podcast. It's called 2 a.m. Crew with my co-host, Rick H. Thank you so much for everybody that has been tuning in, and thank you to Rick for actually thinking enough of me for being a part of that project as well. And we actually won an award for that show. So
Nice.
As of right now, I didn't do this before, but now as you guys are watching me, I am now officially an award-winning podcaster. And when I was given that award and I was told about it, and there's actual evidence on YouTube where you could see it, I became an emotional wreck. I was holding a lot back, but I became an emotional wreck, and I actually expounded on this on social media where I posted that. You guys can see that on Instagram, on everywhere, Jason Enrique, and in the captions I said something along the lines like, I really needed a win in 2025, and last week I got a literal one. And I'm a guy that I tried out for many sports, never really got even a participation trophy or ribbon. There was a couple of times where I didn't make the team. I was always like the third, fifth, or ninth wheel. And I promise I'm not trying to be a sob story here or whatever. I'm just giving people example of like things that I've gone through, just like everybody else has. But then finally one thing, it's just like it comes unexpected, and it's great. Now, as much of a rough year it's been for me, I can honestly say now, and I feel very humbled and honored to say that after 4 years of staying consistent and networking and so on and so forth, it has paid off in a big way, and I'm very humbled and honored to be now known as a award-winning podcaster.
Well, first of all, you're honored. You're not humbled. You're humbled when you lose. You're honored because you won. That's literally what it is. No, and I'm not calling you out. Everybody lumps those two things together when it's positive. I'm honored and humbled. No, you're humbled when your ass loses. You're honored because you won. So anyway.
It's almost like saying like, I'm 100% almost certain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
works every time, 60% of the time. But see, now what's interesting, and this is the lesson to be taken in the It's Okay to Be Human, Jason Enrique, First Class, Second Place world, is that both of our biggest wins were not things we sought out. They were opportunities that came to us that we weren't necessarily looking for. Yeah. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
And but that's just how life plays. And look, take it from somebody who's been around for a couple of decades. But that's just how it is. And it's something I've gotten better at with time, honestly. It's like once you understand that those are the ebbs and flows of life, and that there are these periods that are rough, that you will make it through. Just keep keep persevering, just keep going. You have no other choice. Just keep going. You'll get through those rough patches, and then these things are going to come up along the way that you didn't plan for, that are going to be wins. There are going to be goals you're working on that will turn into wins. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it'll happen in quick succession and it'll feel like everything's going that way. There was a great, the Actors on Actors roundtables they do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is it Hollywood Reporter or Variety? I can't remember.
It's Hollywood Reporter.
It is Hollywood Reporter. Okay. So there's a clip and it continues to make the rounds, and for good reason. But it was a couple years ago, and it was everybody talking about the advice for their younger self. It's one of those typical questions.
You know what? Before you say that, I want to say, if you and I are thinking the same thing, I just want to say that it's even written on my refrigerator. I wrote that very recently.
We probably are.
Okay.
Because again, this one clip makes the rounds constantly.
Yes.
But it was Tom Hanks talking to
Yes.
everybody. Yeah.
I knew it.
Tom Hanks talking to the panel, and he said, no matter what, this too shall pass. You've had a flop and you're not worked for a little while. This too shall pass. Oh, you've had a big hit and everybody loves you. This too shall pass.
Yes.
And it's true. That is the nature of life.
Yeah.
That you're going to have streaks where it feels like you're winning. You're going to have streaks where it feels like the world's against you and nothing can go right and you can't do anything right. Such is life. And I'm not saying that in a dismissive way. I know when you're going through the rough times, it sucks. And I'm not minimizing that at all. But it does turn around. You will make it to the other side of it. Just keep going.
To anybody out there that is aspiring entrepreneur, creative, whatever they want to do with their life, and they're very passionate about it, and they have everything that they want to put their all into, but they're feeling discouragement, fear, any of those negative connotations. Chris Aballo, what do you say to those people that are listening and watching right now?
See, I'm going to sound like some kind of like amateur like therapist or philosophy weirdo or something, but it's always the things when they interview like retirees or people who live in assisted living or places like that. When they talk to old people, to be blunt about it, and they interview them, what's your biggest regret? It's always the things they did not do. It's not the stuff they did. Always the stuff they did not do. So just do it. And failing is not fail. To quote it's a title of a song from my favorite album of 2025, which is The Wild Hearts. The album is called Satanic Rites of the Wild Hearts, which is not because they're by any means a death metal band. It's literally Satanic Rites of Dracula is a movie from the 70s.
Gotcha.
It's a nod to that. But anyway, the final track in the album, the first single, and a song I've listened to many times since the album came out in March, the song is called Failure is the Mother of Success. And it's true. Don't be afraid of failure. If you enjoy my particular nonsense in this episode, you end up following my show, you check out the catalog. I've said it many times, but it's important because I never heard in my previous life as a musician, particularly, I never heard anything about failure. It was always like, you got to kill it every single time. You need to be this great every single time. There was never, you go out and you have bad gigs, you go out and you fail, and fail often because it brings you that much closer to success. I never had that as a perspective until recent years. Now, I'm glad I found that perspective. I'm glad that's something that I came to understand about life. And now I feel like it's something that's more widely known, more widely accepted. I feel like it's in the, it's out there, and everybody knows, that's again, the way things go. You kind of can fail your way towards success, so to speak. But that's what I would say. Go out there, and if you fail, you're one step closer to success. Even if you end up going in a completely different direction, it's okay. Well, that didn't work. Onward to the next thing. You figured out what doesn't work. So right. I say, do it because you'll regret having not done it. There's another cliche. I mean, it's a cliche for a reason, but a year ago, you'll wish you started today. It's one of those things. Yeah. And it's true. Just go out there and just try it and fail, because there's no shame in failure. And, like I was saying earlier, no disrespect to Jason Enrique, award-winning podcaster, but, got
to say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest.
The fact that nobody, exactly. Shout out to you, good boy. But the idea that nobody's watching, nobody's, I do, and look, I do a lot of stuff quietly. I don't announce anything, like even with regard to the documentary. Sure, I say nothing when I'm working on it. I know there's a school of thought of, you share the process and you talk about, you let the audience in on part of the process. Okay, well, at this stage when, there isn't necessarily an audience that's begging for that or looking for that from me anyway. I don't announce things until they're finished. And I'm not saying you need to do it that way, but if you did, you can work on something quietly. And if it doesn't work out, then who's to know? I didn't put, and there are a lot of people who do that. I know people who literally every time they come up with a title for something or every time they write a script, like they put out there like such and such, and they give you like a summary and blah, blah, blah. And who knows when anyone's going to see this thing or if it's going to get made or anything like that. And I don't like talking about anything until it's finished because I could announce stuff every single week and the announcement's fun. Yeah. The announcements, that's great. Being able to tell everybody, hey, guess what? This is coming, whatever it is.
I actually did learn that as well. And it wasn't from something that happened to me, but unfortunately this happened to a aforementioned person who I said was focusing too much on what's going on in the political world and stuff.
Right.
They were actually, they were filming for a limited TV series on Hulu. I'm not going to say which one it is.
Okay.
And they were really excited about it and they posted it all about it. Mm-hmm. And then when it finally premiered, what happened? She got cut.
Yeah,
and she felt, I felt horrible for her because she was really excited about the project, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I saw the project and I watched it in its entirety. And I was looking for my friend and I was like, wait, where the hell is she? Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, I found out later that she was cut, and I felt bad about that. Right. But it was also a lesson, I think, for both of us, me and her, where she realized that she has to not celebrate her wins too early, but be proud of the work that she's done. Mm-hmm. And it also was a lesson for me as well because. Well, it did kind of happen for me as well because I was actually supposed to be doing my very first play back in June, but it's been postponed. But I told pretty much everybody and their mother, and it would have been a huge turnout. We would have made a lot of money because for the amount of people that would have showed up, but it never materialized, and I basically looked like I was eating crow at that moment.
Well, that's it, and a lot of people do that, and I get it. The announcement's fun. The announcement's great.
Yeah,
but. So many things that
it's a hint of narcissism
don't pan
right
out.
There,
A little bit. There's a little. Well, it's gratifying to get. Oh my gosh! Congratulations! This is so great. You're out there. You're doing it. This is awesome. Yeah. But if you want to pursue something, back to the question you asked me a half hour ago. If you want to pursue something and you're hesitating, well, just pursue it. You can be quiet about it. If you don't want to publicly libel yourself to anybody, then you can just work on it, and we'll see. But at least try. And if you fail, so what? Failure is an event. It's not a person. As another cliche for you. But again, cliche for a reason. But it's true. Better to try and at least know. And I've done that many times in my life. And I didn't necessarily know it at the time. But I thought, well, I'm glad I did that because at least I know.
Kenny Mercedes, can we get a round of applause for Chris Aballo really quick?
Oh, well now. See, now you're just... ass kissing. Now you're just lathering me up because I said I would post the show for you.
Wow, you're telling on yourself there, aren't you?
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, well.
This is first class, second place 2.0? Something like that. Wow, so why not? If you need
what a way to poo-poo on the show you're actually guest on.
Hey, I'm literally talking about your reinvention. And you're here calling me out like I'm sitting here. I'm just like, that's right, Enrique. I'm going to keep kicking you.
Well, listen.
No, not at all. I'm here.
I am a sadomasochist, and no bigger proof of that is me being a Jets fan, so I love the pain. So,
yeah, clearly.
All right, so
obliquely agree.
Well, one of the things that we also share.
Well, we've got almost an hour and a half, and I haven't even imitated you until now. Obliquely agree. We bleed all the times we get beaten up. Go Jets. Jets. Suck. Even I know that. I don't follow.
That's how bad it is. Yeah. Foosball. All right, but
team.
Yeah, even though we're not, we don't coagulate with sports, we're cinephiles.
We are simpatico on movies for sure.
Yes,
100%.
yes. And by the way, another awesome part of this 2025 was celebrating the 30-year anniversary of Heat. Shout out to Michael Mann, and shout out to all the Italians such as Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
some of the best Italians. Yeah. I think we add in Paul Giamatti and Stanley Tucci, and I think that's the top tier Italian American
Bocce
group right there.
Anyway, so I am a nerd. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a nerd when it comes to movies and albums and so on and so forth.
We're going to be much less inspirational now.
Right,
I'm just going to get silly. Our movie's great.
Yeah. They don't make them like you used to. Anyway, literally. So I have done a top 10 album and top 10 movie list of every year since 2016. We're not going to do albums today. We're going to just focus on movies. Now, you didn't even watch 10 films in a theater this year.
I know, which is a new low.
Yeah, I like when you told me that, I was like, what, did the hell freeze over?
I'm very disappointed, I gotta say. But look, since 2021, because the first post-pandemic film I saw in the theater was Black Widow, so that was like July 2021, I want to say. There have just been less movies released every year anyway. You know, a lot of stuff just goes straight to streaming.
It's going to get worse,
so, of course. But I'm thinking, and a lot of times when I've gone to see films, it's, you know, when they're showing something for like an anniversary. I mean, look, this year was even the first time it's had a wide release that I haven't seen. Back to the Future, like it was released in IMAX for its 40th anniversary.
Yes.
I didn't even see that,
and we didn't get to see the bloody affair with Kill Bill.
I know, like we talked about it, and it just didn't. Yeah, it didn't work out. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go see.
But we also have sponsorbilities where we don't have 4.5 hours to waste in a movie theater.
What's that word? We're gonna say that was intentional, everybody.
It was. I'm
an idiot. Did see 10 movies.
Yeah, I'm an idiot, not a fucking idiot. But anyway, so I saw actually more than 10 movies. But what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna do some honorable mentions, and then I'll fire off my 10 to 1 list, and then afterwards you basically just give your opinion.
Got it.
So
am I adding a drum roll in post?
Why not? You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
More work for me. Go ahead.
So first and foremost, I want to give my honorable mentions. Honorable mentions, starting off with Freaky Tales. I don't know if anybody saw that, but that is a dedication, a love letter to Oakland, especially in 1984. Shout out to Too Short and Pedro Pascal and everybody else involved in that film. Sorry Baby, which is a really heart-wrenching and really important film to watch, especially when it comes to a woman. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to get banned or anything. Superman. Not the best superhero movie, and certainly not the best Superman film that I've seen, but still a solid effort considering where we are with superhero movies in this day and age. And shout out to James Gunn for actually having some kind of semblance of what a superhero movie is supposed to be like. Speaking of superhero movies, Thunderbolts, which was actually the best Marvel film that I've seen in a long time, and if you are a mental health advocate like me, I think you would really appreciate a film like this. Friendship, which is a weird, dark, super dark comedy, but it resonated with me because if anybody had felt like the world was just crumbling around them and they were just like that person in the group that nobody really loves or respect, it takes a dark turn, but in a comedic way. It's not going to be for everybody, but I still recommend it. It's with Tim Anderson, I think his name is, Tim Robinson, and Paul Rudd. I almost said Giamatti. I'm stuck in the Italians, apparently. And then finally...
Paul Rudd and Paul Giamatti did a movie together. It's actually not great.
Right. And I don't know if you did, I don't know if you saw this in theaters or even saw this at all. Naked Gun.
I have not seen it.
Okay, with the Liam Neeson.
I will watch it.
Okay.
But that was deprioritized.
Right. Now, for the honorable mentions, anything of note for you on there?
You mean from your list?
Yeah. Or have you seen any of them?
I haven't seen any of them. Well, no, I'm sorry. I did see Superman.
Okay.
It's controversial stance. It's the only Superman movie I like. I mean, the Christopher Reeve ones are fine. I just always thought Superman was a boring character because it's like, he's invincible. He's got laser eyes. He can fly super fast and, you know, all of that. And the only thing that could kill him is a green rock from space. So on Earth, he's got it made. So I just never found Superman interesting as a character.
Yeah.
This made Superman an interesting character because he's not human, but it actually did make him kind of human and proved him literally from the opening. You see, he's not infallible. He can get his ass kicked.
Exactly.
And even that, I thought, oh, wow, there's actually a Superman character that is, you know, almost human, you know, close enough to being, you know, that you've given humanity to.
Right.
And even the scene with him, with the vulnerability, even the scene between him and Lois, it's like, right, there is no winning. No matter what, for every good thing you do, there are going to be, you know, repercussions. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be collateral damage.
Yeah. Even Superman has dating issues, so I'm not the only one.
Yeah, exactly. So that was, I had mixed feelings about it. That wasn't one I was chomping at the bit to see, but it was one of those where I thought, okay, it made its way to HBO Max, the newly renamed HBO Max. So I said,
how many times are they going to rename that? But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, soon it's going to be named Netflix, apparently. But so that was one that I was pleasantly surprised by because I went in with no expectations. Not in a negative way. I just went in. I was curious because James Gunn hits more than he misses. So I said that got my curiosity where I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's see what's going on.
All right. So, and also for all the people that want to complain how it was a woke movie, shut up. Anyway, so now going off with my top 10.
You find me a non-woke comic strip. Go ahead. Yeah.
Jason Enrique's top 10 films of 2025. Anyway,
There's going to be a graphic in there. I promise you.
Let me get 2 savages. Anyway.
No. You don't get drops at this studio, my guy.
No, I'm actually okay with that. Number 10.
It changes the dynamic, doesn't it, though? When you just got to be funny.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it does.
This feels more authentic, honestly.
Authentic,
Anyway.
Unfiltered conversation, some might say. All right, go ahead. Number 10. We're
Number
doing
10.
like Letterman.
Yeah.
Number 10.
And you can let me know, once I rattle them off, you can let me know if you've seen them and what your thoughts on them.
Well, you count the list first, because otherwise we're going to be here till tomorrow.
Number 10. Frankenstein. Any thoughts?
That's another one of those. I want to see. I haven't seen it yet. But it's been out for like the last 2 weeks.
So, I mean, I love Guillermo del Toro. I love a lot of the stuff that he's done, and I think that he was the perfect person to create something like this. And I actually thought it was a lot more deeper than I expected it to be. Everybody was solid. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Now, I don't have it as high up as everybody else has, apparently, but I thought it was really, really well made, especially considering where we are with the state of film in the industry, so on and so forth these days.
I've heard almost unanimously positive things.
Yeah.
So
I'm eager to watch it. Yeah. Number 19.
Number 19?
Sorry, number 9.
we're never getting out of here. Sorry, Kenny.
I'm tired.
You're in for the night, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, that door locks from the outside.
No, I'm going to tell you why I fucked it up. Because at number 9, it's Mickey 17, and I just mixed the two right there.
Another one I wanted to see, and I have not seen yet.
So I am not the biggest Robert Pattinson fan in the world, but I do love Bong Joon-ho, and I loved Parasite. I thought it was a phenomenal film, and I was looking forward to seeing him doing a $90 million budget American film. It was his first American film, and it was just an original story. Even though it was based off an IP, it was still some originality to it, and it's something that you don't see much in the movies these days, especially in a theater. And it's no wonder why it bombed. But I think it's well worth a watch, and I was pleasantly surprised, and probably Robert Pattinson's best performance that I've seen him so far. All right, number 8, One of Them Days. I don't know if you ever heard of this one. It's with Keke Palmer.
Title doesn't ring a bell. Oh, yeah.
Keke Palmer and SZA.
Yes. Okay.
So I like to call this the female version or the 2025 version of Friday, because that's how I felt watching this movie. It takes place in South Central LA, and it's about these 2 women, and they're trying to get through the day over the span of one day. And I don't know why, but when I watched it, I thought of 2 things. One, this is giving me Friday vibes, and 2,
oh yeah, that's why I bought a ticket. They're hot. You can admit it, dude. It's all right.
I mean, I'm not denying that at all. but I guess to add a third one.
This is a good Jersey girl as well, lest we forget.
Shout out to Maplewood. Yep.
That's right.
And if you want to add a third one, I was just reminded that we don't get much of these comedies in theaters anymore. They usually go out to streaming now.
Yeah, there aren't mainstream comedies, which is a drag.
And because they are put out in streaming, it's the quality is like dampened, I feel. And I feel like when you have something like this that's essentially a passion project and you put it out there and you get to enjoy with an actual audience, it ups the experience. And that's how I felt.
There's nothing like seeing a comedy with an audience.
Yes.
And we don't really get them like we did. Like I miss Bridesmaids in the theater, and I'm sorry that I did. Like that was a rental for me. And when you think, wow, that's how long ago it was. Yeah. So like we got comedies that were, that was 2012, I think.
Believe it or not, I think the best movie theater experience I've ever had was when I went to go see the first Shrek.
Yeah,
that was not only was it funny, but it was that was one moment in the theater where I realized, but I remember that at the end of the movie, everybody stood up and cheered, and we're just in a regular ass movie theater. We're not at a premiere or anything. That's how great it was, and I've yet to feel that again.
Yeah. It's tough now, but that's another reason I forgot the name of it, but yeah, and that was
one of them days.
Yeah, and that came out earlier in the year. But that was another movie where I thought, like, oh, cool, at least they're getting a movie out in the theater that's
right.
Got, again, another one that seems to have really, really positive reviews that I kind of forgot about because it's
it came out in January, which is like the dead season for movies, but
that's the dumping ground. August and January are the dumping grounds,
but
traditionally.
There was a diamond in January, as far as I'm concerned, with one of them days.
Nice.
Number 7, I'm a sucker for these kind of movies. It is a war movie, and it is Warfare. Directed by Alex Garland of Civil War and 28 Days Later and so on and so forth. 20 Years Later was actually one of my honorable mentions. I forgot to mention that. That was actually pretty good. horror film. I do like zombie stuff, but Warfare, it reminded me of like when I saw Saving Private Ryan for the first time in a movie theater. I mean, it was visceral, it was anxiety inducing, it was scary. Like,
I saw the trailer in the theater.
It's just another one of those.
Intense.
It seems like one of those movies that reminds me of why I'm not in the military, but I have infinite and reverent respect for people that do serve our country. And shout out to people that are watching, and also my best friend who have served our country. So thank you for your service. But that is just a visceral movie. And again, I'm so glad I got to see it in a movie theater, because if I saw it in my regular house, I would have enjoyed it, but I don't think I would have got the real intense experience. And that's why we go to the movies in the first place anyway.
It's getting immersed in it and feeling like you can't escape. And just, quick reference back to what we talked about on my show earlier in the year, which was, talking about seeing Heat for the first time in the theater, classic. And that bank robbery, street shootout scene, it's like, as many times you watch that movie at home, it's like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of this.
Yes.
It really, you get lost and just like, it's so immersive.
I forgot I was in a movie theater.
Well, that's it, because you're so in it, and for a movie like that, that's intense, especially the way it's shot, seems to be a lot of not first person POV, but a lot of kind of alongside everybody, as opposed to sweeping cinematic shots. In this war movie.
Yeah, and it wasn't too much shaky camera either.
Well, yeah, and that drives me batty. With a lot of movies. So that's good to hear.
Number 6. This is a little bit of recency bias, but I saw it very recently, and I really thought enjoyed it, and I didn't think that I couldn't put this in my top 10. It would have been a crime. Marty Supreme with Timothée Chalamet.
Really?
Yes.
That seems like one of those movies everybody on social media is talking about, but nobody in the real world is talking about. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm saying it's one of those movies where, it's... I'm trying to think of another recent example of a movie that gets like so much attention on social media, but then you ask your coworkers and they're like, I never heard of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like I see ads for Marty Supreme, and I have heard nobody talk about it. Like in person.
Well, that's why strangers on the internet are better friends than my actual friends sometimes. But anyway, no. So this was directed by Josh Safdie, one of the Safdie brothers, who did Good Time and Uncut Gems. Who apparently, with this film as well, they know how to do high anxiety-inducing films. And this is so. When I saw this movie in theaters, it's 2.5 hours long, but it doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. But it feels like you're having a 2.5 hour panic attack, because the anxiety is just all over the place. Everybody's talking over each other. They're stepping on each other's lines. There's a lot of background noises like bells whistling and dogs barking and so on and so forth. It is just so chaotic, but I have a newfound respect for Timothée Chalamet. I always knew he was a good actor, but this goes to show that he really went all out on this one.
Right. Like he's an actor. He's not a movie star.
Exactly. And I think this could potentially be his magnum opus. And I don't know if he's going to win the award. He most likely would be nominated. But if he did win it, I wouldn't be mad at it. And I would say it's well-deserved. Number 5. This is a little bit controversial. Begonia, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, stars Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone.
Those are the first words that you've said that I understood in the sentence, but okay.
So anybody who knows Yorgos Lanthimos, he is a really unique director. He makes these really weird and philosophical films, and they don't always come out the way you think. His most popular film is Poor Things. So,
okay.
Yeah,
all right. So I've heard of that.
Yeah, but he's he's just a super weird. I mean, I'm sure he's a regular guy, but his art is super weird. Weird. It's almost like a more twisted Tim Burton sometimes. That's how I feel like it. But this one, I guess why I really have this one high up. It's not even his best film, but I think why I have it high up is because when I saw it in a movie theater, I don't think there was any other ending that I saw this year that was like, what the fuck was that? But in a good way. Like, I did not see that ending coming. And from a technical standpoint, you have to respect how they did things, especially in the ending, which I won't spoil. But it also took me back to, like, again, this is how movies used to be made. And we don't make them like this anymore. People want to make shortcuts and so on and so forth. And I really have to respect that they went with something original and unique and different. And I literally said throughout the theater, what the fuck? So
you said it out loud in your seat.
I did, yeah.
Nice.
And I mean, unfortunately, movie theaters are empty now, so there was nobody there with me. Yeah. So, but
I would be like, I know, right?
Yeah.
A couple rows back.
So that was my what the fuck moment with the ending, but I found myself not hating it, even though it might not be for everybody.
I didn't hate it. Therefore, it's in my top 5.
Number 4, The Long Walk.
That's another one. I know the name and I can't think.
All right. So this is based off another Stephen
King?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I almost said Spielberg by a second. But
right.
no, Stephen King, IP. So I'm not a big fan of horror films. They're actually my least favorite genre, but this one was really unique. It was directed by Francis Lawrence, who actually did I Am Legend, which I'm not a fan of, but I also love Constantine, which he did as well.
Yeah.
And he also did a couple of the Hunger Games movies, but this was probably his best work. And having a movie where basically people are just walking the entire time, and one of the things that I'm a sucker for from a technical standpoint are continuous long shots that are uninterrupted.
Oh, you dig that?
And you get tons of it in this film, and the tension is palpable, and the violence is in your face, and it's not supposed to be glorified. Like, some of the violence in this is creepy, and believe it or not, Mark Hamill makes a great villain.
It's that movie. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew that because he did an amazing Joker with the Batman animated series, but
Sure.
seeing him in the flesh as a villain, it's a sight to behold. So shout out to that. Number 3, believe it or not, another horror film, and I wish more horror films were like this, Weapons. So again, thank you, Kenny. He gives a thumbs up as well. Kenny gets a thumbs up. So again, like I said, I am not a fan of horror films. They're my least favorite genre, and I feel like a lot of them are even cheaply made these days. But I love the structure. I love the storytelling. I love the technicality of it. And just like Begonia with my what the fuck moment, this was a movie where actually some people were in the theater and we all had that satisfying cheering, like, yeah, that kind of moment. And I haven't felt that in a long time in a movie theater, let alone a horror film. And it doesn't cut corners. It's like a 2-hour film, so they really get the time to really expand the story that they want to. And I think that Zach Cregers is one of the best up and coming directors coming up. If I'm not mistaken, he's going to be directing some Resident Evil film, which I would actually go for instead of
take another run at that. Okay,
instead of PTA or whatever is the other guys.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah. So
we'll get to PTA in a moment.
Yes,
because I know what your number 1 is because you posted about it.
But I mean that's no spoiler alert. Number 2. Now this was my number 1 for a while, and I didn't see any film coming anywhere close to it until number 1 happened. But we'll get to that in a minute. And I think it's pretty obvious. It's a lot of people's favorite movie this year. It's been out for a while. It's been critically acclaimed. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan, Jersey's own Sinners.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about like an upgrade of From Dusk Till Dawn, if you want to go through that route. But what I really appreciate about it is that, again, we have a lot of films now that are based on IPs, comic books, reboots, sitcoms, whatever the case may be. And Ryan Coogler, he has done Marvel films. He did do the franchise of the Creed franchise at one point. But this was his own original magnum opus. This was something that was made from his own creative mind. And to see a film, an original kind of film with this kind of clout and being able to put that much passion in it and also get it not only critically acclaimed, but also basically make over its budget 100 times and putting butts in the seats again.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that. And I don't know a single person that hates this film because I feel like my first film hasn't seen not a lot of people seen it, but I know a bunch of people that have seen this and they've all had great things to say about it.
Yeah, and I will say, because Sinners is my number 2 as well.
Okay.
I only really have 1 and 2. Like I could put, and that's because they're they were neck and neck for me. But I agree with all of that with Sinners. And the thing that we don't here we go. We should have a bell or something like that. Another they don't make them like they used to moment.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things about Sinners, yes, we can praise obviously the storytelling, all the period elements of the movie, the accuracy with the Southern Asian population in the South, and also with the Irish population, at the time. All of those things can receive praise. But one of the things that for me made a huge impression was it's a slow build.
Yes.
You're getting to know these characters, you're getting invested in these characters, and then once shit hits the fan, it does not stop, and literally until the end of the movie. And it's one of the things, like, we don't get that kind of like build and build and build. It's got to be, every 10 minutes something happens, and this movie doesn't do that. It builds and it gets you invested in the characters, and you understand every character. It gives you a little bit, a few shades of each character's, personality and background. And then once it starts, it doesn't stop.
Right.
Until the credits roll, and then it still keeps going. But it's something that I loved about it, because I thought, okay, I love that this movie is taking its time establishing these characters and letting you know why you should be invested and interested in these characters and care about their fates when things get ramped up. So, yeah, there's nothing. Hey, we're not going to be able to say anything about Sinners that everyone else hasn't already said for the last, however many months. So, Yeah, Sinners,
right?
I completely agree with everything.
So like I said, that was my favorite film of 2025 for the
you
majority.
didn't say number one.
I know. Well, I'm getting.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
What show
like,
are we on?
wait, you're not done.
What show are we on? Anyway, so Sinners was my number one film for a very long time until September happened, and you know what? I got to give this guy his flowers. Leo DiCaprio, he once had my favorite film of the year in Departed. He had my favorite film of the year in Wolf of Wall Street. And once again, he has my favorite film of the year with One Battle After Another. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I've been a big fan of his movies since Boogie Nights, and I would think There Will Be Blood is my absolute favorite film of his. I do like The Master, and I do like Magnolia and stuff, but this is right up there. I think that this is Paul Thomas Anderson getting an opportunity to get a $130 million budget, making the film that he wants to get. Again, this tired trope again that we're doing over and over again. They don't make movies like they used to. This feels like a movie that I would have watched in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it's based off a novel, so it's not wholly original, but Paul Thomas Anderson putting his take on it and his technical and the way, I never thought that he would actually make a great action movie in his own style. That was something that really impressed me. Like the car chase scene at the end is not your stereotypical car chase scene you see in any movie, but it's very Paul Thomas Anderson-ish, but it was still riveting, and it was one of the best scenes that I saw all year. I think Sean Penn puts on one of the best performances I've ever seen in his career. Leo always solid. Benicio del Toro is always solid. And again, it's a movie that was 2 hours and 40-something minutes, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like it went so fast. And yes, people want to talk about how it's a microcosm of the political world that we're living in today, but that's just that's just like a backdrop. But the story is much deeper. I was really invested in the characters. I like Tiana Taylor's character. Chase Infinity, I think, is going to be a phenomenal actress going forward into this industry. But it just hit on all cylinders for me. Like, it was definitely that one movie where as soon as it was over, I immediately wanted to watch it again and again and again. So I've seen it 2 times in the theaters. I saw it 3 times when it came out on HBO streaming, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to watch it right before the season of the year ends again. So number one, One Battle After Another.
Wow.
So there you go. Jason Enrique's top 10 films of 2025. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for your input.
No, for sure. Now, my number one film of the year, which is on nobody's list, it's not the top of anyone's list for best films of 2025.
Okay.
But I will say Sinners is number 2, and it was really, really close.
Don't say The Out. Shameless plug, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a 2023 film. Yeah. I will have you know. But
you can stream it on YouTube now, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay. That link's in the description too. Why not?
Yes.
Check out my latest short film, The Out, as well. Yeah. Narrative short film, I should say, not including the documentary. And this is not to be contrarian. Genuinely, the movie I enjoyed most in 2025, Alto Nights.
Wow.
Now, because
oh my God.
Now, did you see it at all?
I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. So the best I saw it twice in the theater. I'm also the only person who saw it twice in the theater, I'm sure.
It bombed.
Both experiences were great. Well, that's the funny thing. I can't help but think, and quick sidebar, this is just my own theory.
Sure.
But it, 6 weeks after it was released or something like that, in theaters it got a DVD and Blu-ray release. And then it came out on HBO Max. And then sometime over the summer, June or July, it got a release on 4K disc. So it must have been a hit on HBO Max if they're going to release it on a third format. So it must have found its audience. I mean, look, the target demographic ain't going to the movies, especially in cold-ass February. So not a surprise it didn't do well. I enjoy period movies. Number one, Robert De Niro, of course, one of the greats. Even the shtick of him playing 2 characters. And, people criticizing the makeup and everything. Look, once upon a time, just like Colin Farrell with the Penguin, we used to have actors who look like that. Now everyone's pretty. So they have to put prosthetics on Robert De Niro to give him a different kind of look and have him play 2 parts. And look, apparently he was offered to Joe Pesci and he turned it down. He's played enough heavies in, mob movies and in films, period. So can't knock him for that. But still, as far as a story, because it is, for the most part, it's more accurate than not. Let's put it that way. I enjoyed that element of it. I just enjoyed the performance. And there's so much of that, coming from a large Italian-American family. There's so much of those personalities that just resonate with me that I enjoy watching that on screens, like some of these characters. And
fair enough.
So for me, it was a movie I enjoyed the most, for sure. I mean, again, I'm willing to give an honorable mention to Superman. Another honorable mention I'll give was Nobody 2. which I saw nobody. The movie Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't see it. I saw the
made a
first
sequel
one.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Streaming on Peacock right now. If you don't have that, there's one reason to get it. But it's enjoyable. But the thing about most modern action movies, and it's a bummer, is it's surprising how well films from. And I've mentioned this on the show we did about Heat. But when you look at even the B and C grade movies from the 90s, you look at your Steven Seagal and Van Damme movies and whatnot, how well they've aged, because at least there were actual stunts, there was actual fighting, there were actual explosions, there were actual cars that were chasing each other, and all the explosions, all the blood, all the fire, all the everything. I mean, it's all visual effects, and it's kind of a drag that it wasn't done practically, because I feel like, watching it, if the fire is obviously visual effects, it's not, the building didn't blow up, or, a car didn't blow up or something like that. Mm-hmm. It does kind of take away. I get it's to a degree supposed to be a little cartoonish, but it's easier to get invested when it's real. I always use the example of The Dark Knight. They flipped an 18-wheeler.
For sure. Yeah.
That's why the theater was silent every time I saw that in the theater, because it was like, oh my God, because it's happening for real. Yeah. When it's just put in later, it's like, so. But I enjoyed it for what it was. It was just another trip with this, kind of nondescript guy who you wouldn't think would be able to kick everybody's ass. Frankly, 2025 was the year of the documentary.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
That is all we got. We got Paul Rubens and
John Candy
and Eddie Murphy and Martin Scorsese and Charlie Sheen. And what was the other one that
not Diddy.
I was just thinking of her. No, I don't give a shit about that. I'm the only person who hasn't watched that, because I just don't care. Sure, he's horrible.
You have self-respect.
Well, it's like that's fine. I have my opinion about him, and that's that. I don't need to watch it. I need to have that reaffirmed by a documentary.
I'm just being facetious.
No, I know that. That was one that grabbed me. I'm forgetting the other one that I have zero signal right now.
Thank you.
But I do want to give an honorable mention. Yeah. But I do want to give an honorable mention for great documentary, but a tough watch, which was Ozzy Osbourne, No Escape From Now. Which the reason why it's not that it isn't well done. I can't say it was enjoyable necessarily, because you're literally watching the man in decline. And that's a drag. It really is. Starts in 2019 and obviously ends with his death over the summer, which unfortunately, understandably, but unfortunately feels kind of tacked on. It's less than a minute, the final minute. And it's just a shame to watch him degrade over the last 6 years. Like, that actually made it really, really difficult. Wow. But that's all those, those weren't theatrical. They were all streaming documentaries. Yeah. So unfortunately, it was one of the. There's one more that I watched that I can't think of what it is, but yeah, that.
All right, I guess we'll just put it in the description.
Yeah. I'm going to think of it. And I was going to check my letterbox just to see if it was on it, but there was another one for sure that was great. But yes, John Candy was great. Eddie Murphy was great. It's kind of like hanging out with Eddie Murphy more than it was like a documentary. Yeah.
That's how I felt.
I enjoyed the Charlie Sheen one.
I actually enjoyed that one too.
Because it was the most warts at all documentary of all of them. The Scorsese one was insanely thorough, which was great. Yeah. All right. So that's where I land, but didn't see as many movies in the theater as I wanted to. I'm hoping to rectify that in 2026, but chaotic year, like we said before. So
all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you so much to my great guest, Chris Aballo, for coming through here.
Thank
brother.
You very much
It was
for
a pleasure having you here. Real quick, anybody want to give a shout out to before we close out?
Listen, if you enjoyed my carrying on and great lengths about different things, you can follow my show at Cape Pod on the socials. Chris Aballo's Podcast Experiment is the name of the show. Currently on hiatus. There'll be some stuff popping up. Let's put it that way. When the show is not happening weekly, there are specials that pop up, kind of like one-off specials here and there. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, anytime something new is released, you'll find that on the socials, and subscribe to the YouTube channel or through your favorite podcast app. Yeah, you can check that out, and you can follow me as well. those links will be down in the description.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to follow me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to check out the 2 a.m. crew with Rick H on YouTube every Tuesday.
The award-winning 2 a.m. crew.
Yes. If you're interested in New York sports and our pain and our fandom, please check it out. We really appreciate it. It didn't win an award, so, it didn't come out in vain. It wasn't done in vain.
So somebody likes it. Somebody else loves to hate New York sports teams.
But ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 199. Only one more to 200. It'll be coming very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely check out yours truly. Check out Chris Aballo. Shout out to Kenny. I'm saying that right? Kenny, engineer. Shout out to Mercedes in the background. Love you, girl. And this is you. This is me, Jason Enrique, saying we out.